your hometown station. 98.1 and AM 1220 KHTS, your hometown station. This is your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita, saying thank you for tuning in. I want to give you a few quick shameless plugs of some local events that are happening here in Santa Clarita. For those of you that love and are always with bated breath waiting for the Cowboy Festival, well, you don't have to wait much longer. This weekend, it will be here at Hart Park, Saturday through Sunday. All kinds of vendors, food, shows, arts and crafts, a lot of fun stuff. So come on out. It looks like the weekend weather is going to be fabulous here in Southern California. And then in a couple weeks, April 26th through 27th, the Home and Garden Show that KHTS puts together will be at Central Park as usual. Gates open at 10 a.m. and closes at 4 p.m. Free to enter, but of course there are food trucks available for food purchase. If you so choose to eat lunch on the premises, there are going to be over 400 vendors there at the park for the Home and Garden Show. Encourage you to visit Lighthouse Christian Academy's tent, and if you are interested in a good, godly education for your young individual, encourage you to talk to those at Lighthouse Christian Academy. Visit them, grab some of the information, talk to Christine and some of the other folks that are there, and give a Lighthouse Christian Academy a try. Also, another quick shameless plug here for Politics and the Pulpit. If you want to listen to the show commercial-free, you can follow us and like us on Rumble. We have all the shows from the last 5 months that are on Rumble. It's all commercial-free. Please give us a follow and a like and share with as many folks as you possibly can. Also, April 20th is Easter Sunday. Encourage you, if you do not have a local church to attend, Freedom's Way Baptist Church, pastored by yours truly, loves to talk about the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Encourage you to come out and enjoy a traditional Easter service. No fog machines, no rock bands, no big screens, just Christ in focus. Encourage you to come out 10:30 a.m. Check us out on Freedom's Way Baptist Church.org, and you can find all the information you need online. Also on May 25th, we're having a Christ and Culture Sunday. Our tagline for that is Transforming Christians to Transform Culture. Our speaker for that entire Sunday is Dr. Andrew Sandlin with the Center for Cultural Leadership. We are also going to be featuring Dr. Andrew Sandlin the Wednesday before May 25th on Politics in the Pulpit. And we'll be talking about the Center for Cultural Leadership, which, by the way, is going to be 25 years old this year, and be talking to him about what that's all about and what the objective of the Center for Cultural Leadership is all about. In just a few moments, we'll be joined by our guest today. We have not had Deborah Pauly on in a long time, but Deborah is a staff attorney with Lex Rex Institute, and we'll be talking to her in just a few moments with Deborah Pauly. Let me also mention that it is a warm day in Southern California. Those of you that complain about California, that complain about our politics, I totally understand that. But the fact of the matter is, it's a gorgeous day today in Southern California. And I think for the next few days, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And so these are one of the reasons why I like to live here in Southern California. Also got a little note here for those of you that are Dodgers fans out there. Dodger Blue, they are in the Nationals fifth, Nationals fifth? In the fourth. There it is right there. So that's today, right?
They're losing.
They're losing. Unfortunately, they were actually on a streak last week, and then all of a sudden they just kind of made a turn for the worse there. So, for those of you out there that are Dodger Blue, that's what we've got going on. Next week, Wednesday, just a quick promotion here, we have Sonia Shaw. Sonia Shaw is with the Chino United School Board in Chino Valley. And of course, she has made a lot of noise there on the school board over the last several years, especially during the whole COVID situation. And she is a rising rock star, and I say that loosely, not to be disrespectful to her, because obviously her objective is the kids' education and just that. So we've got her next week Wednesday, and so she's running for California school superintendent, and so we are looking forward to having her on the show next week. Right now, we've got the real Deborah Pauly. Deborah is a staff attorney with Lex Rex Institute. She got her doctorate from Trinity Law School and is the president of Conservative Patriots of Orange County, and of course, she is a much sought-after radio speaker as well as conference speaker as well across the state. Deborah Pauly, good to have you today on Politics and the Pulpit. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Pastor Cook. How are you today? Thank you so much for having me back.
It's been a while, and I'm glad I got you back on.
Well, schedules are tight, you know. This is an exciting time for a lot of us that are engaged in politics.
No doubt about it. First things first, Deborah, how is Alexander Haberbush doing, and is he still married?
Yes, he's managed to last an entire year of marriage. He's doing beautifully. As a matter of fact, honestly, and I just saw him last night and in a court up in Long Beach. That's kind of a professional development opportunity where we kind of learn on different topics. Last night it was dealing with difficult clients. Believe it or not, there are some clients that can be difficult.
No.
And so, yes. Believe it or not, just like other people, I'm sure as a pastor you never have to deal with difficult parishioners.
Never had a problem at all.
No, that's true. Anyway, I wanted to tell you, I'm glad you brought this up because I wanted to brag a little bit about him. We're going to probably talk a little bit about how things are changing in the courts. This lawfare is just everywhere. But he had a really wonderful victory just last week up in Shasta County. Where a group of activists had tried to put an item on the ballot, to qualify an item for the ballot having to do with election integrity, and the Shasta County attorney, their counsel, was refusing to give it any name, to name it so that they could begin circulating the petition to qualify it for the ballot. And he was making all kinds of crazy excuses about it. And, of course, these are individuals trying to deal with this situation. They finally came to Alexander seeking assistance, and he was able to basically get the court ruled completely against the Shasta County attorney about not doing his job. His statutorily required job is to just give the thing a title and let them circulate the petition. He was making up all kinds of really lame excuses as to why he could not do his job, basically because he did not want to do his job. And Alexander stepped in, and during an ex parte application on an order shortening time on a hearing, he just ate that attorney alive. And before you knew it, he not only did the court throw it out, the attorney decided to just go ahead and do what he was supposed to do in the first place. So that was a great success for Shasta County. It was a great success for Lex Rex Institute, and beyond that, for this kind of nationwide effort that we are seeing to restore integrity to our elections.
I know that the whole Shasta County area has been instrumental in all of this. I've been hearing Shasta in the news in the last several weeks, and to hear this culmination today, or at least the beginning of a culmination, is quite encouraging. I wanted to talk briefly about the big news that broke today, Deborah. I definitely want to get back to the whole district court judge situation that's been, I guess, lawfare 2.0 for the Trump administration. I want to talk about that a little bit later, but I want to talk about the breaking news today that President Trump raised China's tariffs again, and then issued a 90-day pause for 75 countries. What are your thoughts about the whole Trump and tariff situation? In other words, are we supposed to have some short-term pain for some long-term gain? Your thoughts, Deborah?
Well, I want to say he did a 90-day stay on all countries, I believe, except China. And I believe China has always been the biggest offender as far as fair trade goes, and the theft that intellectual theft, corporate theft, everything you can imagine. And they've stolen all of our manufacturing. What do I think? You've probably been reading, you must have been reading some of my Facebook posts. It is short-term pain for long-term gain, because we need to adjust how we are trading with other countries. We need to address how they have been taking advantage of us, particularly China, taking advantage of us to the detriment of our economy, to the detriment of our manufacturing, to the detriment of the middle class. And yes, there's going to be pain when you adjust. Anytime you rip the Band-Aid off of something, there's pain that's going to occur. And a lot of people that are wise investors are seeing this plummet in the market, and it happened. And I think everyone expected it to happen. They're buying. They're like, time to buy. It will adjust. It will readjust. We are already seeing countries coming back, to the table to talk with President Trump, and he is the expert at the art of the deal. We all know that. It's one of the reasons why many of us decided that we needed to elect him as president, because we needed a chief executive officer who knew how to deal at the table. He has a right to be dealing with these things. He is the president, the executive branch. The international trade has always been the purview of the president. So he has the right to be doing what he's doing, because it has a lot to do with our foreign policy. How do we interact with other countries?
And is the objective, and I think you already kind of answered the question, Deborah, is the objective basically to isolate China here, and that the rest of the world kind of also do the same thing, and Xi Jinping is going to have to either come to the table or fold? Is that your thoughts on this, Deborah?
I don't know that he's trying to necessarily isolate China. I think he's trying to discipline China, if you will. And I don't know what he's trying to do with regard to other countries, but I think overall there are multiple objectives. I believe that the objective, first of all, is to reestablish free trade. Second of all, to give our country and our manufacturing and our middle class an opportunity to reestablish themselves economically on the world trade floor. Instead of, we're importing everything, and we're doing it at a detriment to ourselves. From my perspective, and I can't speak for President Trump on this because I don't know, I'm not a spokesperson for him, but we need to be self-sufficient in this country, and we are not. If anything happened and China decided on its own, sua sponte, if you will, to just go ahead and yank all of its production and not send anything to us, we'd be in a lot of trouble, because we are not ramped up to handle things. We can't handle our own pharmaceuticals for those that need to have medication. If we did go to war, we wouldn't be able to retool manufacturing companies to support any kind of war effort, which is something that happened in our history. You need to understand history. That's what happened in World War II. So we were putting out war machinery. We couldn't do that now. And we cannot allow ourselves to be sitting ducks. There's that. But there is, yes, to kind of normalize trade so it's not all heavy-handed in one direction, communist China. It's one of the reasons that the march of communism, socialism, progressivism has been successful lately, is because they are holding all of the playing cards, all the aces. They have all the marbles. And we need to bring some of those, most of those, back inside our border so that we can strengthen our domestic economy.
I want you to hear what Kevin O'Leary said on CNN this morning in regards to China and the tariff situation. Here's what Kevin said.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here. Never
The
has an
Americans
administration.
withstand 400% tariffs? What would that
I
look
want
like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well,
I'm
hold
not
on a
talking about
second,
tariffs
Kevin.
on
Well,
60
I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about people, the average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the
It's
goods?
short-lived. There will be
But what's your timeline compared to, you don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington to cut a deal.
What do you think, Deborah? Kevin O'Leary thinks like a businessman. That's because he is a businessman. We have a businessman as president. 400% tariffs. What say you?
Well, he he said a lot of things that I said at the front end of this, and I never would have gone that bold. But go big or go home. Go big or go home. So that's a pretty big hardball, and I think he's right. 400% would cause somebody to wake up. Yeah, America's still a major consumer. I certainly do like that idea. I wouldn't poo-poo it. And you heard the liberal asking questions there. It's like, oh, the poor people. You know what? Still, in America, compared to other nations, and I don't know how many of you traveled abroad, we still live far, far above the standard of living of most of the world, and it will be short-lived because they need us. And he's absolutely right. The intellectual property theft, the corporate theft, they don't do anything by the rules. They're cheaters and liars. You don't ever do business in China just with another company. You will always be in bed with any joint venture. You will always also have to be in bed with the Chinese Communist Party. That is part of the deal. Any company that goes into China to do business with a Chinese company will also, and by necessity, do business with Communist Chinese Party. That's the way it works. And so by giving them all this great advantage, and he said the cards, having all the cards, I said the exact same thing. If we're giving them all of the power, we are actually helping advance communism. And as freedom-loving Americans, we should be opposed to that, whether it's about free trade or the economy or not. We should be opposed to giving an advantage to people who are opposed to freedom and opposed to God.
Yeah.
Because God, of course, our God is a God of freedom.
No doubt. We're talking to the real Deborah Pauly. Deborah, of course, is staff attorney with Lex Rex Institute. We'll talk to Deborah on the other side of the break. Ask her a little bit more about the tariff situation, and then talk a little bit about some California politics on the other side of this break here on Politics in the Pulpit. All right, we're back here on Politics and the Pulpit with your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita. We're talking to the real Deborah Pauly. Deborah is staff attorney with Lex Rex Institute. And she's president of the Conservative Patriots of Orange County. Deborah, are you in Orange County currently, or where are you? You're up in Shasta?
I'm in Orange County.
Oh, okay. And how red and how purple is Orange County? I mean, we always think that Orange County is, ruby red, but that isn't always the case. Is that true, Deborah?
It used to be the case. We were the standard bearer of conservatism and Republican power base in California and in the nation. We owned all of Orange County, almost every single major seat. Currently, we only hold a partial of a congressional seat. The rest are all in Democrat hands. The Orange County Board of Supervisors, for the first time in my, time living here, is a Democrat-controlled 3-2 Board of Supervisors. They own a lot of course, they've owned a lot of the school districts. Currently, we own the Orange County Board of Education, but it has changed dramatically. Republicans are no longer those with the most registered Republicans. They're more registered Democrats than Republicans in Orange County, about a third, a little bit edging toward Democrat. And the other third are actually no party preference or independents or some libertarians and things like that. But many of those no party preference or independent voters, those who have declined to state, are actually Republicans that are true conservative, constitutional conservative, America First MAGA Republicans, who are a little bit disgusted by the Republican Party in California and in Orange County that has been taken over, I would say infiltrated by neocons and globalists, and that's why we're in such a sorry state right now. And until we get back to our ethical and platform foundational roots, we're never going to win. We've been trying to, but under the leadership of some very bad chairmen, to out-Democrat the Democrats by softening our conservative speaking points and our conservative policy positions. The absolute opposite of what we should be doing.
Well, considering you brought up the California GOP, Deborah, a few weeks ago, they obviously met up in Sacramento for their the voting for California GOP chair. And Corinne Rankin, of course, now is the GOP chair, and we've got a few other down-ballot choices. I know who my choice was. What are your thoughts about the current leadership now for the California GOP, and do you think that they have what it takes to turn California around in such a crucial time that we have?
Well, I'm very hopeful, and I'm assuming that I'm going to assume, because all the really great people that I know were supporting retired State Senator Mike Morrell.
Bingo! Bingo!
Yeah, California Republican Party chairman. We need to restore ethics to the party. We need to restore that, and until we do that, I just said that. Well, we're never going to win. He came as close as anyone has ever come to upsetting the establishment swamp apple cart. He was only within a couple of hundred votes, and really, from what I understand, and I didn't go this year. I've done 16 years of hard labor as a delegate to the CRP, and just didn't have the heart to do that. I had other things that were, vying for my time. But I don't know Corinne Rankin. I just know who supported Corinne Rankin. And you're known by the company you keep quite often. I'm hopeful. I would like to see her succeed because we need her to succeed. But my guess is that we're going to see just more of the same. A weak warrior. They don't want to truly be a strong opposition. They're perfectly happy being big fish in an ever-shrinking pond as long as they're still in control. And that's a very sad thing because, Trump, when he was out here after the Pacific Palisades fires, touring the devastation, said there can be no golden age without the Golden State. And that is so true. He has not given up on California. And I'm not giving up on California. If I pack it up and move the state, you'll know I've given up. But I'm not one to do that. And I would like us to give her, this Corinne Rankin, a fair shot. I would have been far happier, though, if we saw Mike Morrell take leadership. I would have been assured that we'd be heading in a different and better direction.
Well, we know that California is about to enter into an election season, and we've got Newsom, of course, is a lame duck. Mayor Bass is up for re-election. We also have something of an office that most people don't even really think of, but now they are. Insurance commissioner. Obviously, that has been on the forefront of people's minds now for the last year, considering so many people have been losing their house coverage, Churches have been losing some of their coverage. Our church lost our coverage because of, quote, fire hazard, even though technically we've never had a problem. And even home ownership. My wife and I, we both lost our coverage. We live in what is considered a high fire danger, and so we were dropped a little over a year ago, and now we're with the California Fair Plan. So how pertinent, how relevant is the insurance commissioner going to be going forward? And is the person running for insurance commissioner, is that supposed to be a nonpartisan race, Deborah Pauly?
I do believe it is a nonpartisan race. It could be Republican or Democrat, but they're supposed to serve everyone. But it's an important position. It's a very important position because they determine whether or not rates will increase. But there are so many other bad policies taking place in the state of California that make it difficult for insurance companies to operate here. National insurance companies. You were mentioning yours. I'm with USAA. That's military insurance. And one of the things, I got this bizarre questionnaire from USAA, and they provided a cover letter along with it because it was so bizarre, basically saying, this isn't USAA doing this. We have to send this to every single one of the folks that we cover, provide insurance to in the state of California. It's a requirement by the state of California. And so it's a waste of, there's a cost that's associated with that. But it was asking things that have nothing to do with insurance. My gender, what my preferred gender is, what I want to be called, what my sex is, what I think my sex is. Am I white? Am I black? When am I? Do I think I'm green? And it was like such a bizarre thing. And so insurance, even just for auto insurance, it continues to increase even if you're not getting a more expensive car because doing business in California is expensive for everyone, everywhere, no matter what your line of business is. It's expensive to do business in California. That's because of the bad policies. But an insurance commissioner is supposed to be, if he's effective or she is effective, is supposed to be ensuring that he could speak up or she could speak up saying, when you affect these types of policies, this is what happens to insurance coverage and insurance premiums here. And I'll give you an example. Renter's insurance or insurance that protects against, theft or any other risk assessment. When you're living in a high crime area, like San Francisco, for instance, nobody wants to go to San Francisco anymore. Why? Because you're assured of being robbed. You are assured. You drive in there, you get out of your car, and you go into a fast food place to get something to eat or run into a 7-Eleven, walk back out. Your car has already been broken into within 20 minutes, and they know this. And so businesses that are trying to do any kind of business in this state, including insurance companies, need to have high, off-the-charts premiums to cover theft because there's so much of it. Why? Because criminal behavior is acceptable here. It's not, people aren't arrested for it. They're not punished for it. They're not, there's no incentive to not be a criminal. As a matter of fact, crime does pay in California, and the insurance industry has to account for that.
Well, I know one of the big deals that's going to be happening pretty soon here is, of course, the governor's race, and it's starting to heat up in California. You've got several Democrats who have already thrown in their hat, including your wonderful friend down there in Orange County, Katie Porter. I'm sure you guys love each other, but
oh my goodness,
we've only got one Republican of any name recognition, and that would be Sheriff Chad Bianco there in your neighboring Riverside County. Your thoughts about the Republicans going forward here in California, and just how ripe is California for the taking now that the Democrats have shown themselves to be so feckless, especially when it comes to the fires at the Pacific Palisades and so on and so forth?
You said we were getting ready to enter an election cycle. We're never out of election cycle in California. There's always an election cycle going on. But you are right. Sheriff Chad Bianco is our best bet. And what I'm seeing, when it's rare for us to see this happen, I am seeing both the grassroots MAGA types, America First types, and the establishment types coalescing around a one candidate, one Republican candidate. And if we could ever, I've always said this, if we could ever make that happen where the two sides come together, we're unstoppable. I haven't actually met Chad Bianco face to face yet, and that's on me. That's my fault. I didn't go to something I was needed to be at probably. But one of the things that impresses me the most about him, I'm a huge supporter of Claremont Institute. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do. Yeah, okay. And they do a lot of work about promoting the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And 2 years ago, they started a constitutional sheriff's academy where they were bringing in sheriffs from throughout the country, those that would accept the invitation and take the time to come in and be educated on the Constitution, on how much authority they actually have under the Constitution and how to effectively exercise that authority. And Chad Bianco was one of the first to attend the very first class of constitutional sheriffs. And we just had another class that graduated, sometime last fall. But that impressed me a lot. It told me where his heart was. And I am seeing a lot of people coming out in support of him. We have some horrible Democrats coming forward. Most of us would just love to see Kamala Harris be the Democrat nominee because she will lose. And we would just love to have that. Nobody likes her. None of her own people like her. Nobody's going to vote for her. The only way she's ever succeeded has just been through appointment or, the only way she was even the presidential nominee for the Democrat Party is that they had to get rid of Joe Biden, who was no longer functional as a human being. So I think that we are ripe for the picking. We are ripe for the picking for a lot of reasons, but I think most people have just about had it. I do know this. There are Democrats who secretively have voted for Donald Trump. They don't want people to know that they did, not their friend group. They don't want their friend group to know it because, people get cut out of their friend group if they let folks know that, I kind of felt like he was the best option. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in this governor's race this year. I think this may be our year again.
I pray and hope that is the case. We hosted a meet and greet for Sheriff Bianco a couple of weeks ago. We had about 130 folks show up to that, and we're going to do another one. I think the only Achilles heel for Sheriff Bianco is that video that has been bandied about of him bowing at the BLM protesters. I'll just be honest, Deborah. I had a good conversation with the sheriff in my office 2 hours before the event occurred. We got to talk about a lot of things, including things that are my passion for this state, like a complete overhauling of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. I think it's atrocious. Especially having seen the new prices for deer tags and hunting licenses this year, which are ridiculous. But I know that's not Deborah Pauly's thing, but that's Pastor Cook's thing. But I didn't like his explanation for that video because his explanation didn't match what I saw on the video. But if you just took that off the table, he does seem like someone that may be the guy that brings in the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, which is necessary, and, if you will, the more establishment base of the Republican Party, which is represented by, I would say, the California GOP.
So I have a slightly different take on that, Pastor Cook. I saw that video right away when I started, putting out there that, I was leaning that direction towards Chad Bianco, Sheriff Bianco. People wanted me to see that video. They were posting it all over, and I watched it, and I listened to what was said. And, there was a lot of rioting that was happening throughout the country at that time. We have to look at where were we at that time. And the way I saw it was not a governor. First of all, he wasn't a governor. What was he? He was a sheriff. What is his job? To keep the peace, to enforce the law and keep the peace. And the way I saw it is that he was de-escalating a situation that could have gone very badly and furthering keeping his community safe. But he got down on a knee to get them down on a knee. And after he got everybody calmed down, he said, we need to be able to dialogue, and I cannot talk to you when you're like that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what he was saying. And so what I saw there was somebody with humility. And as a Christian, there are times where it's good to be humble and have a soft voice so that you can be effective. And that's what I saw.
I think Deborah Pauly needs to be talking to Sheriff Chad Bianco and giving him his talking points, because that was a better explanation than what I heard.
Bianco should talk. Yeah.
In fact, I am going to give Sheriff Bianco your number with your permission, because I think
Absolutely.
that would be excellent. We're coming to the end of the show here, Deborah. I want to just say thank you so much for calling in today, and always good to have the real Deborah Pauly in to give us your take on what's happening both nationally and here in the state of California. Deborah, thank you so much for calling in today on Politics and the Pulpit.
Thank you, Pastor Cook. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. When we come back here on the show, we'll talk about the assassination culture in a political party. You say, which political party would have the assassination culture? We'll let you know when we come back on the final segment for the Politics in the Pulpit.
There are many memorable restaurants in Santa Clarita, but 3 words stand out from the crowd. Mom can cook.
Mamá puede cocinar.
Mom can cook the best Thai food on this side of the planet.
Mama fait la cuisine.
No matter what language you use, Mom Can Cook says it all. Thai food at its finest, all your favorite dishes, and Mom's very own original specialties. Experience it on Soledad by the Canyon Country Post Office.
Mama Aurora Jostasio.
Mom Can Cook.
It's no wonder people love Baskin-Robbins. 31 delicious flavors of ice cream. Celebrate with your favorite ice cream served any way you want, including the special flavor of the month. Baskin-Robbins, now open on Lyons Avenue in Newhall under new Santa Clarita family ownership, is the first Southern California hybrid design store for Baskin-Robbins and the oldest location in Santa Clarita, over 45 years. America's favorite neighborhood ice cream shop is just one scoop away. Baskin-Robbins, the perfect dessert for your next celebration.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. In our valley, almost 1 in every 5 neighbors face the challenge of affording weekly groceries, a staggering 18% of our community. With our vision and dedicated team, we've been able to distribute over 1 million meals this year, resulting in a significant reduction in food insecurity. We need your support to further the help providing groceries to our neighbors. Please visit SantaClaritaGrocery.org and donate today. That's SantaClaritaGrocery.org. We're stronger together.
KHDS strives to give the Santa Clarita Valley all the information they need, and when our computers aren't working the way they should, we call Resurgence, your true source for IT. Resurgence provides outstanding customer service while also providing the highest technical ability. They strive to do what's best to improve and protect your business. For more information on Resurgence, call 349-4114 or visit resurgenceit.com.
Our recent fires have created a dire housing shortage. Consider adding a small ADU structure in your backyard. Ulrich Lifestyle is the leading company that has been crafting outdoor structures for Santa Clarita homes. ADUs, personalized sheds, and detached garages that become extensions of your home. Ulrich Lifestyle often delivers a finished product within 48 hours. They're built for how you live, work, play, and connect with those you love. Visit their design center at Soledad and Sand Canyon. UlrichLifestyle.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
All right, we're back here for our final segment of Politics in the Pulpit here with your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita. We've got a rarity here. We've got a call-in guest. We usually don't have call-in guests, but Evelyn has something to say.
Your hometown station, KHDS.
Did that not work out? Because I don't think that was Evelyn. Do you? That sounded a little bit like Throwback Thursday. But anyway, we won't get into that right now. Evidently, we lost Evelyn, and so we won't we won't get into that right now. So I'll get back to what I wanted to talk about, which is assassination culture. How about that? Are you part of a party that actually endorses an assassination culture? You say, it must be the Republican Party because Trump's so mean and he tweets mean things and he must be the assassination culture. Well, actually, no, it's the left. A report, think about this, a report came out just the other day that 55% of self-identified leftists believe that murdering President Donald Trump is at least somewhat justifiable. 48% of leftists felt the same about Elon Musk. The report indicates a rising assassination culture among left-leaning individuals, highlighting social media's role in amplifying support for political violence. Now, you might remember about a year ago when that healthcare worker, was shot by that very pretty individual, Luigi, I think his name is. And all of a sudden, people on the left were in support of the death of this individual. And so I believe that type of culture is what is prevalent within the left today. And so I think we need to be careful about the social media that we get involved in, about the friends that we have. By the way, is Evelyn on the phone? Is Evelyn on the phone? There is no Evelyn on the phone. I don't think we need to worry about Evelyn today. What do you say? Yeah, let's give up on that. So just this last weekend, there was this hands-off protest that was all across the nation, right? Most of it, by the way, was not natural, was not grassroots. Most of it was bought and paid for by George Soros and his underlings and that left-wing progressive money. All the signs seem to indicate that this was all planned, weeks in advance. And you can tell now that the left is starting to want to get real aggressive with Donald Trump now. If you remember during the early part of the win in November and December, everyone just kind of wanted to play ball, and there really wasn't much talk about political retribution against Trump, and everyone was trying to get along. But now they see an opportunity to get loud again and to get obnoxious and potentially to get violent. And I think that's what we're going to see going forward is the political ramifications are going to get more and more amped up and more violent. So folks, careful out there with your Democratic friends, especially those that are on the very far left. And the last story I wanted to bring to your attention comes from across the pond over in Great Britain. A nurse who called a transgender prisoner Mr. was suspended without explanation. A Christian nurse in England who had been punished for saying Mr. to a transgender prisoner has been suspended without explanation on a vague allegation of potential gross misconduct, according to a Christian rights group. Jennifer Mele last week was summoned to meet with the chief nurse of Epsom at the University Hospital Trust in England, where the Ugandan-born resident of Croydon was told that there had been a potential data breach after Mele shared her story with media that could amount to gross misconduct concerning this individual who identifies as transgendered. Quote, pushed on what the grounds for suspension were for a nurse with an unblemished record, the chief nurse refused to state the specifics of the allegations pending a full investigation, Christian Concern stated. However, this is what she said, the nurse who was suspended. I am devastated to have been suspended simply for whistleblowing, Mele said. To this day, I have not been told what I have supposedly done wrong. As a dedicated Christian nurse, I am experiencing relentless institutional abuse, harassment, bullying, and racial discrimination. Ever since I expressed my Christian beliefs under extreme pressure, I have been a marked woman. That is what you get, folks, from a political ideology that has absolutely no grounding in some sort of higher power. If there is no higher power, then your government or your government beliefs become your higher power. Folks, if there is no God above the state, then the state becomes your God. And I believe with all my heart that those on the extreme political left, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, they are the intolerant ones who, when you say something that is against their religious beliefs, they go beyond excommunication. They have adopted an assassination culture. Folks, it's getting really interesting out there. And we've got 4 years to go with President Trump. Looking forward to having Sonia Shaw with us next Wednesday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Looking forward to talking to her next week. Hopefully we'll have you tune in here on your hometown station. This is Pastor Cook saying thank you for tuning in. Take care.